much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Leadership Greater Washington Frontline conversation, this time featuring our guest, Tom Fong, who's from the class of 2019, which I got to say, Tom, is a great, great class. I say that every time I mention your class. You really are a great group of people.
Your favorite, I know.
Well, they're very good. They're very good. Tom is the DC Metro Region ambassador, for the Chinese American Heritage Foundation. And I want to just highlight a couple more Frontline conversations we have coming up. We've got one with Steve Harlan, one with Dana Stebbins, celebrating our 35th anniversary. And then this Thursday, we have on April 8th, we have a regional leadership exchange sponsored by Accenture, where we are having all the leaders of the different leadership programs in the region come and talk about what they see for the future, what their groups are doing, and how we can work better together. So we're excited about that. So please stay tuned for those, or tune in to those three events. So Tom, I just want to say, I talked to you the other day on the phone, and I always sort of, I just ask people, because of the pandemic, how they're doing. And so when you picked up the phone, I was returning your call. When you picked up the phone, I said, how you doing? And you said, not so well. And all of a sudden it just hit me. Well, yeah. I mean, I was just sort of thinking pandemic, wasn't focusing. And then it was all about the Asian American Pacific Islander hate and violence and things that were happening around the country that were really weighing on you. So what have you been going through the last few weeks as it's intensified?
Yeah, so the last few weeks have been sort of the buildup of not just years, but decades, generations of how Asian Americans, and specifically for my family, Chinese Americans, how we've been treated and otherized in this country, all the way back to my kids' great grandfathers. How when they came to this country looking for just an opportunity to live and work hard and be free and thrive, that this country really just put a lot of roadblocks in front of us, and it's all kind of accelerated and gotten to the point where we're now facing that four-letter word, hate, and now it's sort of our turn for that target, and that's really the sad thing is our country is the greatest country in this world, taking on immigrants and people from every corner of the earth, and we've kind of lost sight of how that diversity and that those differences can weave together to be such a great tapestry, and I think we need to get back there. But yeah, feeling a lot of hate and pain and angst. Hear from the community across the country, whether we're afraid for our elders or afraid for our next generation for what they've got to deal with. So the pain has really come to the surface on this whole AAPI hate storm.
So as you said, it goes back generations. I mean, it's sort of been a constant in American history. A lot of success, obviously, but also a lot of discrimination, a lot of pain. And we are hearing more and more of that. I mean, people are very, they're very quick to point out that it's just not, since coronavirus, it's just not in the last year that we've had violence against AAPI, but it's been a long time in certain communities, and it's something that we need to reflect on. And I do think that the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all discussion of that has really opened people's eyes to looking at, again, not saying this is just a one-off, don't worry about it, but how can we do things systemically to help combat this? And what are you working on to help us do that, or help work with us?
Well, I think a lot of communities of color have started the work as far as having the rest of America understand the travails and the hard work and the persistence and the the successes, and also taking pride in our various cultures. And that's what I've been working on for the past 20 some years with my community involvement with Chinese Youth Club, the Chinese New Year's Parade, CCBA, which is the overarching Chinatown group, to really instill a sense of pride and opening up our culture to the Western culture, and seeing how we all can fit harmoniously together. But as these hate crimes have emerged these past year and a half or so, and in accelerating fashion, and especially after the incidents down in Atlanta a few weeks ago, there was really a call from our Chinese American Heritage Foundation leaders in Boston to come together and energize a national day of solidarity against hate that goes beyond just the Asian groups, Chinese and Filipinos and Koreans and Vietnamese and others, but to really go in across America, from Blacks and whites to Hispanics to transgender and Muslims and Catholics and Jews. I mean, every corner of America, we should get together, and it's just the clarion call to stand up and fight this one four-letter word that we all know, hate. And I think if we come together in that broad tent, whether you're red or blue, whether you got 10 digits, your bank account, or you're subsisting, highly educated or not, we all come from many different places, but we come from one place, and that's our hearts. We come from one place, and if we can find that shared humanity, I think we can stand up across our great country together and start the right dialogue, the true, respectful, and meaningful discourse to root out hate. And I think that's commonality that we can all get behind. But that's what we've been doing.
Let me go back just a bit. You said you've been working on this for 27 years. What got you sort of into this anti-hate and making it a cause of yours, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to have a family, run a business, and make money and just keep moving? What brought you into all these other things that you've been doing for so long?
So when I say I've been working on it for 27 years, I've been working in the community, in the Chinese American community for some years. But it's just that the onslaught that we've seen this past year, just crazy increase in Asians being targeted because of the rhetoric that just been out there from the top down, has just pulled back that pool cover, and under that pool has always been this sort of cesspool of creatures running about, and now it's okay to fly out of that water and say, hey, here I am, an ugly American, and I'm going to show my hate and vitriol and attack people. And it was almost like it was okay. And when I saw what happened in New York and then Oakland and then even just a week and a half ago in San Francisco, where this old Chinese grandmom was attacked by a stranger with no reason, of course, and good for her, she turned around and beat him up with the stick. But when the news captions and the news showed it, and I heard her wailing, she wasn't wailing in English, saying, he attacked me, this bad guy. She was saying it in Toisan language, which is the dialect of my grandmother and my grandfather. And that hit home. that hit home. But that's our great grandma. That's our grandma there. You know, what can we do? And so it was just that point where in the road where we just had to say, you know what, enough is enough. We've got to do something that changes how we react to all these crimes and inequities and bias. And you know, we really pulled our mind share together and decided, you know what, it's got to be a unity thing. We've got to pull together. We got to find what we share in common and rise up and build from that so that we can have that real, meaningful discussion and then call to action.
So what are some of the conversations you're having with your family, with your friends, in reaction to this? I mean, you mentioned the woman in San Francisco. I just keep thinking of the woman in, it was New York City, who was just really pushed to the street and then kicked in the head, and it was just awful. It was horrible. I mean, it's very painful to watch. So in terms of protecting yourself, being careful, what are you talking about right now?
Well, how do we get to the root of the problem? And it really goes back to understanding and education and you know the you know, why are, you know, many Americans still looking at Asians and other people of color as others, rather than, oh, you know, we have a shared platform, we have a shared yearnings and path that we want to be on. You know, who wants their kids and grandkids to, you know, look over their shoulder and see if there's a threat today? Nobody wants that. Whether you're white, black, pink, polka dotted, doesn't matter. Nobody wants that. We all want the same things. We want to live free, to work hard, to build futures, and to thrive. That's all we want. Every people, wherever we come from, that's what we share, and that all grows from our humanity and our you know, love in our hearts. So when I do talk to the family, yes, look after yourself first. You know, be safe, but then, you know, how do we really build that future together? And this really hopefully is a start to, you know, that really engaging conversation, and reach out to the communities, and then to the cities and to the states and to our federal government also to for that similar call to action. Let's get on the same boat and let's build a better future, whether it's legislatively, educationally, with how we refine policing, gun laws, all of that. All that combines in a very comprehensive, complex way to get us to a better place.
I'm just struck by, you know, I was in politics for a while. And my philosophy was one of always, let's bring people together. Let's make people feel safe and secure in their community so they can go about and live the lives they want to live. And yet we've had a lot of divisiveness. We've had a lot of us against them, a lot of rhetoric about that. And really, there's this whole mentality of you're on your own. I'm always sort of amazed by that, of people who basically say, I got mine, you take care of yourself, don't worry about it. And yet we're sort of hearing that from a lot of people. And I think that leads to some of the division that we're seeing in the country today.
Yeah. You know, it harkens me back to my childhood when I was listening in on my grandparents and the elders' conversations, and they would a lot of times bring back this Chinese phrase, how they solved problems back in the village, back in Toisan, where a lot of the menfolk were scattered throughout the world. A lot of them came to America, and it was women folk who were running the villages and making sure that kids were fed and clothed and were healthy. And when the village had an issue, kid was sick, or the wheat was not, being threshed properly, whatever. They'd get together around the fireplace or around the dinner table, and they'd have genuine conversation, and they'd discuss it amongst the group, and they called it a gong loi, gong hui, which is literally translated, talk come, talk go. Let's discuss it. And just from that basic, as we come to the table and we have genuine discourse and sharing of ideas, then we can come up with the best idea to take care of this issue. And I think taking that gong hui concept, which is very basic, let's come and let's talk, let's discuss, right? Then we can get to a better place, a better answer for all of us.
But what do you do well, let me get to a couple of questions from Mahan, or comments from Mahan Tavakoli, where it's people of color being pitted against other people of color, and that this conversation is great, but what else can we do besides this conversation? What else can we do to help besides this conversation?
Well, I think if we focus on, let's not focus on the division, what divides us. And really, in the course of American history, with having Asians being the model minority, pits us against, Black America, Brown America. We need to stop all that, because that's actually a false narrative as well. Because not all Asians are, crazy rich Asians and building $1 million companies. There are recent immigrants as well, and there are those that are very disaffected. But rather than dividing and say, "Oh, you're Arab, so I can't really get along with you because I go to a synagogue," or we're Asians, we're better at math than you. We got to stop all that. We got to find commonality, okay? And it's just, I was just talking to my sister the other day. I said, how football teams get good is they build bonds on the field and off, okay? And when you have those bonds, whether you're a Black kid or a white kid, whether you're fast, whether you're tall, skinny, short, chunky, whether you're a Chinese kid and this is the first time you've ever played football, what bonds you and binds you helps you deliver on the field and off. And I think that's really what we've got to find, is a way for all of us across America to get to a root common understanding, and we build from there.
But a lot of times that takes sort of a belief in the same facts, and it's a very different time for this country, where you can talk to someone and they don't believe what you're saying, you don't believe what they're saying, and it's just very difficult sometimes to be heard. And we're talking about this in our anti-racist leadership series. We're talking about a lot of things that we do, of how do you communicate with people who don't agree with you, don't want to agree with you, and it's gotten much worse, where you're not just an opponent, you're not just someone who they disagree with, but you're someone who's out to undermine the country and ruin it for all of us. It's a difficult time, Tom, to try these conversations.
And I am not disagreeing with that. And this is not an easy. This is not an easy challenge to overcome, but I think if we can at least understand that, guys, we've got to do something different than just the finger pointing and accusations and vitriol and angry face banging on the table. We've got to find a way to communicate, to find mutual respect, so that we can hear and listen and absorb what the other side is saying. But we can come to the table. That's really what we got to do is come to the table and have honest discourse. That's really what we got to do. Very as difficult as it may be, that's what we've got to do. And hopefully our day of solidarity against hate can catalyze or ignite, that feeling, to move us there.
We've got a comment from Alicia Greer saying it's easy to talk to those that agree with you. It's easy to be nice to people that are nice, but it's much harder to talk to those who have opposing views. And it's hard to be nice to people that aren't nice to you, which is so true. But that's the challenge, and that's where we make a difference. That's what Alicia says. So
yeah,
it is very difficult, but it is, as you said, essential that we do this. And I think one of the problems that the pandemic has caused is that we just have not had time to, we haven't had the opportunity to work with people, to see them face to face, to just do something together as a way to break down some of these barriers. Because when you're on Zoom, it's not the same thing as sitting in a room and talking with someone or working on a project with someone who might not agree with you, but is, but you build a friendship, you build a bond through this combined act of working together.
Right. Well, I mean, Zoom is better than nothing at all.
Yeah.
And at least I can sit here and have a good conversation with you, Doug, and open the conversation with windows out to other Zoom attendees. But yes, I agree with you. During pandemic, it's given us once in a lifetime challenges that we've never come across. And yeah, so we are further challenged and pushed to the edge. And I think it's almost a perfect storm of opportunity for us to say, what, let us all try to find that silver lining in the cloud. Let us try to find the goodness in ourselves, and let's try to take that high road. And hey, if this guy, I might never go to the cocktail party with this dude, or sit next to this person here at a bar, but you know what? We got some bigger things that we got to accomplish, and maybe it's time to just set aside whatever those things that keep us apart. We got to find ways to come together now. It is a clarion call. It is a clarion call, and not just for Asians, okay, for all people, for Muslims who are stopped at the border, for Mexicans who, walls coming, to just whoever might be.
And we do have to find this commonalities, whether it's religion, whether it's interest, work, whatever. And again, once we get through vaccinations, I think we'll be able to take a bigger or have a bigger impact, I think, in terms of these issues of seeing people face to face, and as opposed to resorting to stereotypes and sort of seeing things on a screen, you're actually next to the person. And I'm just struck by this video we used during our anti-racist leadership series. That it's frankly, it's from Heineken beer, and they bring in two people. They basically have the people talk about what they believe in, and they bring in two people who are diametrically opposed on some major issue, and they have them put a table together. They don't really let them, they just sort of have them say hi, and then they give them a mission of putting this table together with instructions, things like that. And at the end of that, if they spend a couple hours working together, they then show on a screen who this person really is, and then or what these people believe. So they know they're in a room with somebody that they just said they hate. And then the choice is, do you want to have a beer with this person, or you just want to walk out? And none of them walked out. They all sat and had a beer. So again, it's this way of it's that human touch, that human contact that I think is so important. And if it was on a Zoom call, it would not have worked anywhere like that. So So that's what we need, Tom. We need these vaccinations to come as quick as they can.
I agree with that. I think we all need to get back to a more normal discourse and exchanges. Yeah.
So let's talk about your this big event coming up on May 31st, and how did that originate? What's happening with that? How do we participate in that? And just tell us what we can do as a way to say we're against this hate and violence.
Yeah. Well, first, the Chinese American Heritage Foundation, the seed organization pushing this, which I'm the ambassador in the DMV region. We started with 20 cities, and I think we're up to 30 cities that are going to participate. Memorial Day Monday. It is the last day of Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is very important. It's also a couple of weeks from the anniversary of the murder of Vincent Chin in 1981. Chinese man clobbered to death with baseball bats after two white male auto workers in Detroit saw him as the reason why auto sales were plummeting in the U.S. auto manufacturing, those sales from the Japanese imports. And they beat him to death, a week before his wedding, thinking he was Japanese. And, that was a big event in Asian American hate crime and our history, but it's also an important day because it is Memorial Day. So we will have folks from every corner of America, from military and police to every ethnicity and color. We've got support from the Black Congregation of Churches, to the Jewish Federation, from colleges are going to be represented there, to, I got a high school kid who is kind of a secret weapon of ours. He played basketball with my son on a Chinese basketball team, and during pandemic, he picked up TikTok, and over 9 months, this kid's got 2.5 million followers. And he's already starting to push out the word on Memorial Day weekend. So really what I ask, my brothers and sisters out there in LGW land and beyond is, one, just save the date, Memorial Day weekend. And then we're going to be launching our website this week or so. But to look out for calls in media and on social media, Facebook. But look for the event. It's going to start at 4 p.m. local time across the country in every city. It's going to be a day of healing and hope, and really love over hate. We want our messages coming from our speakers that day across the country, and from a diverse set of speakers on that platform that day. We'll talk about some of our history and what we've experienced, but really focusing on how we can move together to a point down the road that we can all get behind and all share in working towards. But it's a day of positivity. In DC, I know we're gonna have a lot of music, some great groups, some very nice musicians that'll be there, singers, etc. But it'll be a day of positivity.
So when we first talked, you mentioned from the beginning that you did not want this just to be AAPI, that you wanted it to sort of include everything and be a day of action against intolerance and hate across the board. So what went into your thinking there, and how did you all decide to do that?
Well, that came on very early. We really thought that, that it's not just Asians that need to fight hate, not just Asian Americans. It's not just Hispanic Americans or Latinx Americans or LGBT or BLM or, everyone can have that target on them. Everyone can have that target on them. And it has moved from group to group to group to group. Who's next? Who's next? We could all be next. So maybe we could all stand up together. Maybe that's what we need to do differently. And that started to show, back in the 1960s when you saw yellow power signs next to Black Panther signs. But truly, this is a time, way past time for us to stand together with all our brothers and sisters, so that we can all see that, yeah, you know what, this is an issue that we can stand up together and fight. And if we arm in arm, stand up and rise up together, then I think we're gonna make a much more pronounced proclamation that, hey, it's time for hate to stop, guys. And here's how we're going to do it. Here's our call to action. And let's start moving towards it.
So are we showing up at a place? Are we doing Zoom? What's the logistics of it? How's it going to work?
It's actually going to be an event. We haven't gotten the location set in the cities yet, but yes, it'll be a staged event live. We're going to ask all people to come masked up and socially distanced.
Somewhere downtown DC.
It'll be DC, yeah. It'll be for DC, yes. It'll be probably downtown in a metro accessible area. We'll work with the mayor's office and National Park Service to, find the right venue for size and accommodating, our activities that day.
So we've got a comment from Maury from your class. You got a lot of your fellow 19 classmates here, which I said is a great class. I really
It's one of the best classes. Yeah.
But Maury says it's the shared experience, not just the human contact. The more effort people put into a common goal, the more sense of kinship they feel. That's absolutely right, Maury. Appreciate that. And then he's got in parentheses, it's been said that to unite the world, all it will take is an invasion from Mars. So
one common threat, right? Hey, my favorite NFL team is whoever's playing the Cowboys. Okay.
So how you've got a website that's not up yet, but will be up soon. Debbie Kaplan put in the chat your email address. So if people want to get information or want to get notified when it's up and running, they can just send you an email and to take care of that. Will it be live stream? Will there be opportunity to see it on Zoom?
We haven't gotten that far in the details as far as how we'll be pushing it out on digital media live, but that's a good idea. I'm going to make a note here, live stream possibly.
But you've got 30 cities in the country doing it. So are they going to be connected at all, or everybody's doing their own separate? I mean, they'll be similar, but are they doing their own
they're all going to be similar, similar tone. They'll have speakers, same time, but not connected in any other way besides that. We do have one woman who is pulling together a new release single. It's called No More. She was born in the United States, but she's of Vietnamese ancestry, and she's releasing this song in a week or so. But she'll be performing that on the DC stage, but is probably going to be shared across all those cities.
And Evelyn Moy wants to know, is there a coordinated message for all this? I mean, you're coordinating the messages you're giving out that day?
I mean, that message is, let's unify against hate. Unify against hate. Let's come together as Americans and let's show what, our true American spirit is, and how, truly together, unified, the tapestry that we bring together as people from many disparate places is is one that is very, very strong.
Well, I just personally, I feel very strongly about this because I live in Rockville. I grew up in Rockville, still live here. It's a great town, but it is has the heaviest or the highest concentration of Chinese in the state of Maryland. So there's a huge Chinese population in Rockville and the area surrounding Rockville, and they are neighbors. We see them every day. We have some great Chinese restaurants here as well, but it does hit very close to home. And when you just think of, the woman I saw in the video in New York, it could have been somebody walking through downtown Rockville that the same thing could have happened to. And it really is horrifying. It's just horrifying to see a defenseless person sort of being attacked like that, particularly the elderly. I don't understand that.
Yeah. No, it's hard to understand. And I think, to get to the root problem of, why these occur is more complex than just, more policing or, bringing back out the, what were those, the angels up in New York, the Red Berets. But
the Guardian Angels, yeah.
Guardian Angels, yeah. And there's some of that activity across the United States in different cities, like in Oakland and San Francisco and New York. But really, it's educating, those who may have misunderstood, the other people and why they're here in this country, and maybe understanding their contributions and the contributions of all different types of people for this country's growth and strength is what would prevent a lot of this hate from happening and these attacks from happening.
We got another comment from Evelyn Moy saying Asian Americans need to stop saying we're treated as foreigners and claim their citizenship loudly, period. And that's so true. I always get a kick out of when you hear people say, go back where you came from. They say, well, it was Ohio or whatever, it's just, they're our citizenship. Absolutely, Evelyn, absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I agree with Evelyn. I think, all of us understanding the travails and pain, but also the contributions of all, our people is a base for understanding how we all have shared in building this country. From the railroads, to technology and, biological sciences. I mean, we've all contributed. And I think if we have a shared understanding of that, then that could be, the common bond that, okay, we're all contributing to this growth of our country and the strength of our country. And you know what? Let's respect Asians. Let's respect Hispanics. Let's respect all people, because everybody's contributing. And that's really what matters most is, how we help each other, how we build our communities, how we strengthen our economy, how we strengthen our country. That's the path forward.
I'm always struck by by something I heard at one of our, actually, I think it was at a Lessons in Leadership at PNC Bank, who's sponsoring these Frontline conversations, by the way, but they sponsored the Lessons in Leadership, and what was a financial person. They said, when you look to build a portfolio, you don't put all your money into the same thing. You diversify it. Diversity is great in financials, and it needs to be great. You need to treat it the same way in terms of your personal relationships. And if you want to get things done well and done the best, you need a diverse group of people all contributing to help make that happen. I just thought that was it's a very simple way to understand it. And I never really heard that till I joined LGW.
But diversity. I mean, I study finance, and if you randomly pick 16 stocks, you've diversified away a lot of your systematic risk. And you know what? Let's let's be able to get to a restaurant where we can enjoy fusion food and the collaboration of Cuban and Cantonese pork. You know, hey, let's try it. I mean, it's kind of like metallurgy. You know, get a couple metals together, and you might have something much stronger than, you know, the independent metals on their own. And really, that's what we're talking about. Is if we can understand that the diversity, the differences that people of color and other religions and attitudes and perspectives and gender, you know, bring to the table, if we can say, you know what, that gives us a better idea at the end, or a better product, or, you know, a better life, or a better way of things, then I would embrace that.
So I want to ask you about Leadership Greater Washington. As you're putting together this day on May 31st, and have you reached out to LGW members? Have they reached out to you? What impact has LGW, as Leadership Greater Washington had, and its members had on you as you've gone through this past year and a half?
So Leadership Greater Washington, one, is just an awesome entity and group. And when I was faced with a lot of these challenges, I started to reach out to, you know, my inner circle in my class of 2019, my inner circle being our Platinum Trust. And immediately, every person I spoke with, you know, resonated their 100% support. From linking me to different communities outside of the Asian community to get behind this effort, to here are some resources, let me know what you need, to fundraising. Oh, and you know what, I even got one of my LGW 2019 cohorts, Natalie Randolph, who's going to be one of our speakers that day on the dais. And she's got a very compelling story. She's actually the head of diversity and inclusion at Sidwell Friends School. And I'm looking forward to, you know, her awesome words at the mic that day. But yes, LGW has been very integral in, you know, the coalition building and helping me craft that vision for that day. Yeah.
Isn't it great to have that resource there for you to call in your mind trust?
Man, I don't know what I do. I wouldn't know what I do without having you know, come across Leadership Greater Washington. It's just one of the best organizations. And I encourage anyone who has an opportunity to apply for it to do it. And you know, if you're lucky as Tom Fong, you get in.
The Mind Trust is a great resource in your class, and I, you know, I don't know if I said it before, but class of 2019 is really a great class. So.
Best.
All right, Tom, I want to thank you very much for this conversation. I want to thank you for all the work you're doing to help stamp out hate, intolerance, and violence, and to just make this, you know, have people live in peace. Let people do what they want to do. Let them live the lives they want in peace. So I want to thank you very much for that. And I'm going to, in 1 second here, I'm going to give you, oh, we do have a evaluation survey. If you'd all, it's in the chat room. If you all click on that and fill that out for us, if you could, please. And you are also mentioned, Tom, as a great lip syncer from your class as well. So if you remember that, but that was fun.
Fun time.
That was a fun time.
Yes.
All right, Tom, I'm going to give you the final word. Just say thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being part of Leadership Greater Washington. Thank you for being on this conversation today. Thank you for all your efforts. And we're here to support you and help you and help make this a better place for people to live and work. So final word.
Yeah, so I want to thank everybody from LGW. Thank you, Doug, for giving me and you know, us this platform to discuss how we need to turn, you know, the focus of America towards positivity, to find the right tools to assemble to get us down that road that we all want to get to, and we got to do it through humility, mutual respect, positivity, arm in arm, stand up. We can do it. I am absolutely sure we can. And so, so thanks again for the opportunity. Appreciate everybody's attendance today.
And remember, May 31st. Stay
May
tuned. for that.
31st, Memorial Day Monday. See you guys
All
out
right.
there.
Thank you. Thanks for everything, Tom. And please take a couple minutes to fill out the evaluation. We really appreciate that, everybody. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.